Welcome back to the show. Great pleasure to have you with us. Let me tell you what I know. I'm reading this book, fascinating, a great entertaining book to have. And I believe that it was written to kind of coincide with a personal anniversary of yours, your birthday, going to be 70 years old. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And you've done quite a lot of stuff in 70 years. Quite a lot of stuff. Several lifetimes, all there rolled into one.
It's been kind of tiring. But it's been fun.
Yeah. I saw the piece on 60 Minutes last night. Did you happen to watch the 60
Yes, sir.
Yeah. What did you think of that?
I thought it was very fair and well done.
Mm-hmm.
I liked it.
Yeah. And when you saw yourself, you thought, yeah, that's a pretty good guy there.
I have to admit,
Yeah.
I do feel like a pretty good... I've tried real hard to be a good person. That's what my parents told me.
Let me ask you a couple of things about the book that have tickled me. Early on in your life, very young businessman, billboards, took over your father's business, went into radio, went into television, and you bought a station in Charlotte, and you changed the call letters to WRET. Is that?
That's absolutely right.
And there was another, I think, another UHF station in that market, or maybe it was Atlanta, I'm not sure, and it went dark. They went out of business.
Atlanta.
That was in Atlanta. So then, to kind of celebrate, you had a party at the station.
Live on TV.
And you televised the party.
That's right, we did. It was thanking Atlanta for sticking with us because we outlasted the other guys.
Mm-hmm.
It was last television station standing.
And how long was the televised party on the air?
I don't remember exactly, but I think it was half hour, an hour.
And was it just you and the staff walking around?
That's right. Waving at the audience.
Oh, man. That's pretty entertaining, isn't it?
We didn't have a big programming budget in those days.
Mm-hmm. Now, Ted, when you look at CNN now, and everybody looks at CNN now, become a fixture, part of the culture, but are you satisfied with the product?
Well, I'm satisfied with some aspects of it. I think they're doing a good job in some areas. In other areas, if I was running it, I would do it a little differently. But, you know, just about anybody would do that. I'd do your show differently. No, I wouldn't.
Well, let's go.
Kidding. I'm just kidding.
My God, it's about time.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about.
I think you laugh too much on this show.
Well, I'm always.
I'm only kidding.
I know,
don't
just
laugh
relax.
enough.
Okay.
There's not enough laughs on CNN, I can tell you.
Tell me about
Ever watch Lou Dobbs?
Yeah.
That's not. It's not funny, is it?
Well, not now, no.
That's one thing you can be sure of.
Tell me about your. By the way, do you still sail?
No.
Mm-hmm. When did?
I'm a fly fisherman. I'm your neighbor up in Montana.
Yes, well aware.
When are you going to come see me?
Well, let's go now, for heaven's sake.
No, we can't do that.
But when did you stop sailing?
I really started stopping in 1980 when CNN started. I realized I was going to have to give up something because I was, as the book says, I was going broke. Which a lot of people predicted that we would go broke with CNN, and we came very close. But we just barely squeaked by, and without any government bailouts, too. I didn't.
Good for you.
I didn't even think about a government bailout. You know, I've got the private enterprise to bail me out.
And you, continuing with the sailing now, you won the America's Cup.
Yeah,
now,
I won 600 trophies approximately.
What year was the America's Cup?
The year we won it was 77, but I participated in 74 and 80 and didn't win, so I didn't get selected to defend.
Now, this is a big deal now, and it was certainly a big deal then, and they take the finest skipper, the finest equipment, the
fastest boat.
That's right, and they get to defend the America's Cup. What goes on with the America's Cup now? I mean, it's a real mess, and I don't follow it because it's gotten outrageously expensive, and they spend all the time in court suing each other. I always thought the international sport
was to create bridges between nations and make friends, and that's what I did. After we won the America's Cup against the Australians in '77, on the way in, they sang Dixie. You know, we were buddies.
Yeah, yeah. And then, of course, the lasting image is you and your crew celebrating, and in those days you were drinking, and you were really celebrating, weren't you?
Well, I forgot about the press conference after the race was over.
Right.
I did.
Well,
but I didn't harm anybody, and I didn't drive.
No, that's it.
If you've seen the footage, I mean, it's run many times since then. I was harmless.
Yeah. And in a career that long sailing, there must have been times when you were in trouble because
I was in trouble a lot.
Yeah.
My whole life has been a sea of troubles.
But did you ever think that maybe you were going to lose your life actually
When you
at
get
sea?
to the sailing part of the book, you'll see that I was in 2 storms, but I wasn't sure we'd make it.
Right. Now, the one I remember reading about was near Cape Hatteras. Is that
Yeah,
what it was?
that's right.
And how did you guys survive that?
Well, the wind shifted. We were being blown onto the Diamond Shoals at Cape Hatteras, and with a wind from the southeast, and the wind swung around to the south, and instead of being blown ashore and wrecking the boat, we drifted north past the Cape.
Mm-hmm. And
But we had one last attempt in us to get out of it. Before we had gone onto the shoal, I was going to take one more swing at trying to get her away from it.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And eventually, you were, was it a life thing? The Coast Guard came out and got you, or afraid?
By then, the storm was abating, but
Yeah.
we had to be towed in because we'd had some damage on the boat.
Wow, that's a fascinating experience, isn't it? I mean, you learn from those, don't you?
Well, if you saw the movie Titanic, you know what it's like.
Yeah, that's right. You know exactly what it's like. Well, we're talking about this. This is you at the helm there, enjoying yourself. Sailing is for a man who lives a very fast-paced life, sailing is very slow, isn't it? I mean,
No.
Really?
You're out there a long time, but it's not slow. I mean, speed is all relative, and if the other guy's going 10 knots, you know, that's 11 and a half miles an hour, that can be very, very fast. But sometimes it's slow. If there's no wind, it's real slow.
That's right. But I guess I'm speaking if we had to get to Queens and I was going to drive and you were going to sail, I'd get there before you got there.
Well, if Queens was underwater, you'd get there faster sailing.
This is 1982.
That's right.
What was that all about? How did you get to know Fidel Castro pretty well, you think, or not?
Unfortunately, that's black and white. The original photos, I wore my red shirt that day. we got to be good friends. I went out in the world. I realized that the Cold War was a very dangerous situation with all the nuclear weapons, and I decided when I started learning about the news and what was going on in the world that I wanted to be a positive force and see if we could bring the Cold War to a peaceful conclusion. And so I just went over to all the communist countries and tried to get to know everybody and get to be friends with them. Because if you've got just one good friend in another country, you don't want to go to war with that country because you don't want to hurt your friend. And so I made a lot of friends, and pretty soon the Cold War was over. I'm not taking credit for it because a lot of other people worked on it too.
But you did your part.
I did more than my part.
That's right.
Because I did the Goodwill Games. That was the biggest single thing, and it cost hundreds of millions of dollars.
But it takes people like you with courage of their convictions to actually, make a change, make a difference.
Because I was worried about being called some pinko commie lover,
right.
you know? When really what I was loving was capitalism in America.
Yeah.
but as I told the Russians and the Chinese and the Cubans, if I was going to survive, they were going to have to survive too, because there was no way we could have a nuclear war without both of us getting killed. So in order to keep my country above water and have my children and all our children here in America survive, their children had to survive too, and we had to bring it to a conclusion.
Why do people lose sight of that? That's a very simple,
Well,
very
it's time
basic
to put
ideology.
war behind us. I know we can't, we don't have enough time, but maybe sometime we could talk about that.
I'd love to. This is you when you were involved with the Atlanta Braves. What happened here, Ted?
Well, we had a contest. We were promoting, we had a lousy team, and we were trying to come up, me and the promotion department, with different ideas to get the attendance up. And we decided to have a little contest with the Phillies. The Phillies were in town, and they had little things, the games to play before the game started. And they couldn't find anybody to do the nose trick, to push the nose to the baseball from first base to home plate before Tug McGraw of the Phillies pushed his baseball to home plate from on the third base line. And I was doing real well pushing the ball with my nose, but it wasn't going fast enough, so I started hitting it with my forehead, and the damn ball rolled off the grass into the what do you call it? The base path.
Yeah.
And it was gravel. And I had to hit the ball with my head because I wanted to win. I wanted to show my players and the 30,000 fans that were in the stands that the owner wasn't afraid to get a little dirt on him. And so I started pushing the ball in the gravel, and I ended up scraping my face up pretty bad. But I won by 6 feet. I did.
What, boy, talk about and here's a guy that would know, talk about a financial mess, and is going to be a long time, do you think, before things start to right themselves?
I've been thinking about it a lot, and I wish we had more time, because I've got some good ideas. I think we're going to have to, it could last a long time. I'm afraid it will. I hope it doesn't. But I think we're going to have to change our lifestyle, and maybe it'll be for the good. I think for the last 40 years, we've equated how much we had was how happy we were. Advertising tells us if you buy a big car, a new TV, you're going to be happier. But I really don't think we were happier than we were in the 50s, back when we didn't have any of this stuff, and when we were living within our means, and people had savings instead of owing more than they're worth. We just have gotten ourselves in a lot of debt by spending more money than we were making, and that works for a while, but it doesn't work forever. I mean, we're borrowing money from the Chinese, and billions. I mean, maybe trillions. Hell, I don't know. All these other zeros. Now we're talking about trillions, and there are a lot of things. I think we're going to have to go and get to know our neighbors and maybe play bridge with them.
Not a bad idea.
No, and you don't have to drive all the way across town or spend $1 million doing it. And, maybe some children will have to move back into homes and, get a room for mom and dad. But that's not so bad either. I mean, in Sanford and Son, the father and son lived in the same house. Lamont.
That's right.
And they had a lot of fun.
Could I move in with you, Ted? Would that be all right? I would love to move in with you.
If you'll change your name to Turner.
Sure, I got no problem with that. Well, here it is. It's a great, fascinating read, because it is a great, fascinating life. Ted Turner, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you.
Always a pleasure, Ted.
Yeah, you bet.